Hello folks, this is Mr. Dan coming to you from the Landscape Design Classroom, and today I'm going to talk to you about planting new turf. So 3 ways to establish new turf: 1, seeding, laying sod, and sprigging, which is planting rooted grass cuttings. So we're going to talk a little bit about each of these. Some successful seeding secrets: adequate soil moisture. You want to keep that soil wet, but don't overwater it because oversaturation will kill that seed. Proper soil temperature, soil to seed contact, and high quality seed. So going back to temperature here, you want to make sure that you're planting at certain times of the year. Typically fall and spring are the best times. You can plant usually about the midway through October and get germination and growth. But once that seed goes dormant for the winter, you will have to wait until spring for that seed to pop up. So before seeding, you want to add any needed fertilizers to this topsoil. Apply lime if pH is below 6, which would be a more acidic soil. It's okay to be acidic for growth, but only slightly acidic. So you want to keep that probably about 6 to 7, maybe even up to 8. But a base soil of 7 and below, a little bit acidic would be best. And add organic matter such as peat, spent manure, or mushroom manure or mushroom soil. Planting in cool regions, best in early spring or late summer, early fall. Seed mixtures of turf grasses, mix of temporary and perennial grasses. And what they're talking about with those temporary and perennial grasses are the more perennial grasses such as Kentucky bluegrass or fescue really work well with an annual ryegrass. Using an annual rye will get grass growing quicker, and it'll die off after 30 days for your more thin-bladed grass, such as your Kentucky bluegrass or different fescues. So planting in warm regions, usually done in the early spring, can be done all summer with proper mulching and watering. Bermuda grass for sunny spots, carpet grass for moist, shady spots, and some other grasses only by sprigging or sodding. So typically warm regions are going to be probably about North Carolina, probably like maybe like the southern parts of Virginia and below. Warm season grasses here in Pennsylvania aren't going to work out as well because we definitely have more of the seasons up here. Some seeding methods: plant by hand or with mechanical seeders or push seeders. Don't plant too deep. Plant small seeds at a shallow depth. Roll lightly to press down the seeds. Mulching slows evaporation and prevents crusting. And follow the labels for seeding rates. As with anything coming out of a spreader, always read the label, whether it's pesticide or a different type of seed. You can overseed, which will promote less growth. So if you take a look at the picture to your right, if some of that seed looks like it was probably put down a little bit too much there. So sometimes less is more with this. Typically, whenever I'm planting seeds, I like to put out my fertilizers and topsoil first, and then put my seed down over top and take a leaf rake over top of it and just kind of lightly sow that in. So after seeding, if there's not enough rain, water with a mist-like sprayer. Do not use the jet function on that sprayer, as you will just blast that seed right out of there. Mow after the grass reaches about 2 inches. Actually, I would probably suggest even 3 or 4 inches. Really let that grass establish before you start cutting it down. And I would never cut grass below 3 inches. Soil and grass should be dry when mowing. Absolutely. There's 2 reasons you don't want to cut wet grass. 1, because it really gums up your blades and it's tougher to clean out of your mower. And reason number 2 is whenever you're making turns, you're going to start making skids and it's going to look really muddy in your yard. So you want to make sure that you're cutting whenever it is dry out. Sodding. The quickest way to establish your grass: it's already established grass that you're laying in. You just have to keep an eye on it and water it to get it established with your ground. Must be high quality, adapted to climate, and free of weeds. Prepared seed bed, quickly laid for the best results. And the best time to do this is in the early spring. If you do this in the fall, you kind of run that chance of that grass dying off in the winter from not establishing into the ground or into the soil itself. So once sod is planted, press down and water is needed. Feather outside edges with soil, and watering is critical. And you want to apply fertilizer to dry sod 2 to 3 days after laying. Do not apply the day of because it hasn't had any time to establish in there yet. And as soon as you plant that, or as soon as you put that sod down, you want to water it immediately to get that contact between the soil and that new sod going in. Sprigging, this is plant cuttings or sprigs to start new turf. Stolons, long thin stems above ground, and rhizomes, root-like underground stems. If you take a look at the picture on the bottom right, this is a freshly planted Bermuda sprig. Personally, I'm not a big fan of sprigging myself because I think that it kind of makes it look a little more bare, but depending on your situation, you may need to do this. Sprigs should be fresh and moist. This is also kind of time consuming personally. Prepare beds as for seeding and press down soil over sprigs. And then finally, mulch and water as needed. Anytime you're putting new plants into the ground with roots, you're probably going to have to water a little bit more. Also, if you're doing this during the spring heading into summer, you're definitely going to have to water a fair bit. And that's with any type of grass planting. So care for the sprigs. You want to mow when that grass is 2 inches high. I would even, like I said before, I'd probably mow that at about 3 to 4 inches. Just let it establish for a little bit. Take care not to rut up the yard, and mow only when dry. Well, that is the end of my presentation. There's a short one for this one, but if you have any questions, please get in touch with me down here in the landscape design classroom or reach out to me on Canvas. But I appreciate your time, folks, and have a great day.